Hi everyone. This video is a book review about a book that I bought a couple of months ago while I was browsing on my very favorite site, thriftbooks.com, and the title of this book is Sex Herbs: Nature's Sexual Enhancers for Both Men and Women. Increase sexual drive and pleasure, treat impotence, and ease life changes. And it was written by Beth Ann Petro Roybal and Gail Skoronki. I think that's how you say it. Skoronki. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. But yeah, I found this book on Thrift Books because I kept meeting a lot of people that were concerned about their sexual health. And I wanted to just find more material on it. Material that I hadn't really read before. The only other book that I've read about related to like libido was the book called Hot Plants by Medicine Hunter, and that book was very good. I couldn't put it down. It was just a nice little interesting story of his adventures of finding hot plants all over the world. This book I felt would be somewhat similar, and it was, but you'll see as we go along with this book review how I actually feel about this book and what amount of fudge buckets I would give it near the end. So, before I go into all of that, I wanted to start off with a little disclaimer. If you hear any noise in the background, it is my fan. It is so hot in St. Louis right now. It's like 98 degrees outside and I'm just really, really hot. So I'm going to pause this video right now and put my hair in a messy bun. I didn't want to start off with a messy bun looking crazy, but it's getting to that point. So let me pause and I'll get back to my crazy looking bun. Hey everyone, I'm back again. My messy bun was really whack, so I just decided to do a bobby pin updo. So as I was saying before I get into my review of this book, I wanted to share with you a little bit about the authors. I did search online for more information about them, but I couldn't gather up that much information, so I'm just going to read to you their biographies in the back. I couldn't find an updated biography of them. This book was published in 1999, so a lot of years have passed, and they may have done, more accomplishments. But the first author, Beth Roybal, is an award-winning writer, editor, and instructional designer of books, brochures, videos, and computer-based programs dealing with health and safety topics. And then Gail Skoronski has worked at a range of jobs within the healthcare industry. She has put her inside knowledge of this field to work in researching and writing materials for patient and public education. And this was published by Gramercy Books, which is an imprint of Random House Value Publishing. Now, a lot of people, I guess when they're talking about the topic of just sexual health, it's kind of, depending on your background, risque. For some people, they're very open of talking about it. It'll be something that they bring to the forefront and talk about all of the time. They make it their careers. Other people, it's a little bit embarrassing, or they're extremely, I don't know what the right word is. I want to say like conservative about the topic of sex and sexual health. I meet a lot of men that are open with talking about sexual health and the issues that they're having with it more than I meet women that have this type of issue. With women, anything related to their reproductive system that I have met, they're either concerned about menopause or their menstrual cycle, and then fertility. But for men, most of the ones I've met, their main concern is just like libido. It doesn't matter what age they are. They could be 20. They could be 80 years old. They could be on 5 different medicines, and their main concern is libido. So in this book, I will be sharing with you some of the herbs that they mention to help with all aspects of your sexual health. Some of the herbs I recognize automatically. I'm like, yeah, that's used for libido. Yeah, that's used for libido. But some of the other herbs I had never considered or associated with reproductive health and libido and sexual health. I had never associated them with that. So we shall get into that. One thing that I like about this book is that it's broken into different sections depending on what your concern is. So the first part of the book is talking about herbs. It says, what is an herb? How to choose and use herbs. I'm not going to go into that section because I've done so many books on herbs. You'll basically be hearing the same thing over and over and over, depending on which system that you're using, whether it's traditional Chinese medicine or Ayurveda or Western medicine, all of these different things. But part 2, it focuses on herbs that improve your sex life. So the chapters they've divided into those parts are increasing your sexual desire and drive, increasing your sexual pleasure, relieving male menopause, prostate problems, and impotence, relieving female menopause and premenstrual syndrome, controlling health conditions that affect sex, improving your overall well-being, and sex herb combinations. And they have resources, references, and an index. So that's as far as I can go about what I liked about the book. What annoyed me so much about this book, even when I think about it, it just irritates me. This book will have the same herbs in different chapters. But instead of, taking the time out to rewrite it or say it in a new way, they would essentially just copy and paste what they wrote about that particular herb in another chapter. So it's almost like you're reading the same thing over and over and over because you are. Because you are. It drove me crazy. It literally just got on my last nerves. It made me think about, if I had this book, how would I lay out this book? How I would have laid out this book is I would have just put all of the herbs in alphabetical order, and then on each page I would have what this herb did for who. So let's say if it was alfalfa, I'd be like, alfalfa for menopause, alfalfa for male menopause, how it increases your sex drive, instead of seeing the same herb repeated in the same way over and over and over in each chapter. It just drove me crazy. Whoever did this layout, I'm just saying, please do better next time. Or if you I don't know. So it says, a note from the author. For each herb, we'll describe what it does, give some history about it, its use, and mention which parts of the plant are used. Then we'll describe the sex benefits associated with the herb, as well as how to find and use the herb. If the plant's chemical makeup has been determined or active ingredients have been isolated, we'll list them. We'll also mention any cautions or side effects. You will probably notice that some herbs are listed in more than one chapter. Yeah, and you could have written it in a different way, but okay. This is because many herbs affect several aspects of sexuality. Saw palmetto, for instance, can help with sexual drive as well as with impotence. A note about forms of herbs. Unless noted otherwise, these herbs can be found in pill or extract form. Follow the instructions for dosage on the label of each product. Now, another thing that I liked about this book is that with a lot of the herbs, they did put warnings in them, and that was a good thing. I meet a lot of guys that are trying to get yohimbe or something like that. But yohimbe Some people say it slows down the heart rate, but from what I've experienced and also been told by other people, it speeds up the heart rate. So if you are on something like blood pressure medication or heart medicine, you probably don't want to use this herb because it'll speed up your heart rate. But a lot of people don't know that because they're so focused on their problem with libido and sexual health that that problem overrides any type of warning that you could get about the herb. Most of these herbs are circulation herbs. So they're going to increase like circulation, going to heat up your kidneys and all of these things. And if you're on medication, you want to be careful when you're taking any of these herbs, whether it be high blood pressure medication, heart medication, all sorts of things. So we're going to skip over part 1 and we're going to go straight to part 2 and start off with increasing your sexual drive. I'll try to go through each chapter, and I'm going to bring up herbs that you might recognize, but I'm also going to really focus on the herbs that I never considered to be associated with sexuality. Increasing your sexual drive. The word libido isn't used now as much as it was in the heyday of Freudian psychology, but its definition most aptly describes sexual drive. One dictionary puts it this way: the psychic and emotional energy associated with bodily drives. Another dictionary adds that these bodily drives arising from primitive urges are usually goal-oriented. Now, what could that mean when we're talking about sex? In this chapter, our goal is to focus on sexual desire and drive, which are inextricably connected. The sexual drive is perhaps the most fascinating of all the bodily drives. True, its original purpose may have been to ensure the continuation of humankind, but the concept of procreation probably ranks much lower on most of our scales than a desire for plain, old-fashioned sexual enjoyment. But if you don't have the urge, the libido or drive or desire, then you may not be having sex as often as you would like, or lack of sexual drive can turn sex into more of a chore than a pleasure. It doesn't have to be that way. The herbs described in this chapter can help put sexual desire and drive back into your life or back into the life of the person that you love. Now, from my own personal interviews with people, the people that I've met, most of them that have had lower sexual drives have been women. And I think it might just be a hormonal game at some point. Like, their hormones is like, you know what, never mind. But most of the time it's just stress. Stress can really kill off your libido. Like, they don't feel like doing anything. They're stressed, they're raising kids, they're working jobs, they're tired. They just don't care anymore. Whereas, like, the men that I've talked to care more about it than the women. Every so often I will meet a woman who's just like very, very like sexual, but that's just like a handful. The others that aren't experiencing it do want to be more sexual, but there's just so many factors that's causing them to stress out, they don't have a drive. So the first herb, which actually surprised me, was anise and star anise. Anise is native to the eastern Mediterranean areas, Eurasia and Africa. There are approximately 150 species of anise. All are notable for their feathery leaves and small white or yellow flowers, as well as their licorice-like aroma and taste. I first read about anise it was one of the ingredients in bus tea, which is a recipe that Dr. James Duke, the late Dr. James Duke, created to help with breast enhancement. Different things. And anise was one of them. I've also read somewhere that it helps with nursing mothers. So it says, it has been shown that many women with a higher level of female sex hormones experience increased sexual desire or even more profound heights of sexual intensity and satisfaction. Anise imitates the female hormone estrogen. This may explain why anise has been used as a sexual stimulant for women. There are reports, too, that some men using anise have experienced a more satisfying sexual life. Anise itself has not been formally studied or its effect on sexual stimulation. However, it is generally accepted that anethole, A-N-E-T-H-O-L-E, an ingredient of anise, does have mild estrogenic effects. And then it says, caution. It's considered safe when used for a food, but if you use the oil, it can cause vomiting and seizures. Pregnant women should limit anise to food use only, since its estrogenic effects could cause uterine contractions. Allergic reactions to anethole include redness and blistering, with topical use or gastrointestinal distress when anise is eaten. It's the part that you use are the seeds. Other added benefits are it may aid in iron absorption, it relieves painful flatulence, it aids digestion, eases respiratory conditions, including asthma and sinusitis, by helping the body to clear away mucus from the airways, repels insects, helps to relieve menopausal symptoms, and promotes the production of breast milk in nursing mothers. So that's where I first heard of anise. So that's when I was like, I didn't know that. Another one that I'm going to do a popular one now, since I did one that I didn't really know too much about. Epimedium or yin yang. Epimedium is basically horny goat weed. It's called yin yang in China, but I've only known it as horny goat weed. It says epimedium is a hard herb to find at the time, but one that may provide helpful results if you are successful in locating it. The evergreen perennial has stems that grow underground, then grow upward with leathery, divided, heart-shaped leaves that change colors with the seasons. It says, it has the reputation of being able to give male hormones to women. Women may find their sexual desire increase when using epimedium. Perhaps this is due to testosterone-like substances that may be contained in the plant. However, information and research about this Chinese herb is limited at this time. Now, I've met people that have had horny goat weed. A lot of them have been men. Like, I did meet one couple, though, that had tried horny goat weed, and every time I ran into them, they would be giggling. They're like in their probably early 50s. Yeah, they're probably in their early 50s, and anytime I see them, they're just all over each other, and it's like, I'm talking about horny goat weed. But if you look at a lot of these male libido supplements, you're going to find horny goat weed. It'll either say horny goat weed or it will say epimedium. E-P-I-M-E-D-I-U-M. So, it says, active ingredients, cautions. As with all herbs, pregnant women should use epimedium cautiously. Other information about cautions and side effects is unknown. And the leaves are used to make a tea. I wish they would go more into detail about epimedium. So let's go with the last. Actually, we're going to do 2 more in this chapter because one is Fodi. But I've only known Fodi for like changing the hair from gray to its original color. But since I've been researching more about it, if you look at the original story of Foti Root or Hushawu, which is named after Mr. Black-haired Mr. He, his story, according to traditional Chinese medical folklore, he initially saw the plant that he used to turn his hair from gray to its original color. He said that it looked like 2 lovers intertwined with one another, 2 lovers embracing. And he used this herb to create more vitality within him. And he fathered many sons, and he was as youthful and all of these different things. It's one of the herbs of longevity. It's also been reported that it's helped grow teeth in elderly people. That was from the Little Herb Encyclopedia. It says, this perennial evergreen vine is one of the main herbs used in Chinese medicine. It is also called knotweed. Fodi supposedly got its Chinese name from a man who used the herb and became sexually active after impotence. I think according to the story, he was depressed, he was drinking and all of that. Fodi is also used for a general stimulant and tonic, having anti-aging properties. Its stimulant effects are also said to increase sexual desire and drive. When your body is functioning at peak levels, you're more likely to have a higher sexual desire and drive as well. In addition, Fodi's potential ability to lower cholesterol levels may increase blood flow throughout the body, especially to the genital areas. This would result in increased sexual drive and pleasure. And the root of the Fodi root is used, of course. And it also contains anthraquinone substances, imodine and rhein, R-H-E-I-N, that stimulate the bowels, lecithin, a fatty substance that helps lower cholesterol. I think it's also used for the brain. Side effects. Limit its use so that your body does not become dependent on its laxative effects. I've also read side effects as like it's taxing on the liver, but I don't know how true that is. Added benefits. It's a diuretic. It's a cholesterol reducer. It aids in digestion. It supports the endocrine system, and it has anti-aging properties. Okay, last one. There were only a few of these herbs that I had never heard of. Guarana. Guarana is a climbing evergreen shrub with yellow-orange fruits. It is native to South America. Folks in Brazil have long thought guarana to be an aphrodisiac. They make tea and even sodas out of guarana seeds. If I'm pronouncing this right, I'm sorry. Drinking it to get the herb's aphrodisiac effects. Guarana's powers of stimulation may make it helpful for stimulating the sex drive. It also may relieve PMS, possibly due to estrogen-like substances. It contains guaranine, which is similar to caffeine, tannins, which reduce intestinal inflammation, and essential oils, estragol, and anethole. I don't know if it's anethole. It says that guarana colas may increase tooth decay, and it has the same effects as any caffeinated product, so use in moderation. It also helps relieve headaches, migraines. It's a general stimulant and tonic, and it reduces fevers. I've only seen guarana in this male libido supplement called Cobra. I think it had guarana in it. It had like kola nut, yohimbe, damiana, nettle, oat straw, some other herbs, but it was really, really strong. So let us see what the next chapter is. We're going to focus on increasing your sexual pleasure. I'll read maybe like 2 herbs from there. Setting the mood and desiring to have sex are certainly the first 2 steps to enjoying it. But once the game has begun, there are many ways to ensure maximum sexual pleasure. Herbs can help, usually by initiating a change in your body's chemical balance, such as increasing your body's production of testosterone. The male hormone that functions in both men and women to create your body's sexual response. Because of this chemical changing role, most of these herbs are more effective when taken consistently over a period of time. Within a few weeks of taking the herb, you should gradually begin to notice a change in your sexual response, increasing your sexual pleasure. Now, I did an experiment where I'm just like, if most libido herbs are like circulation herbs, what would happen if I consistently took these circulation herbs? So for like, it must have been 3-4 weeks, I was just blending powders. I mixed yohimbe, I mixed damiana, I had blessed thistle, I had maca. I actually had red, black, and yellow maca all mixed together in one. And I was also taking like horny goat weed in a supplement. And what was really strange was I would just feel normal at the beginning of the day. Then all of a sudden, in the middle of the day, I would get this huge surge of energy. And the more I took it, the stronger I felt like. I felt like I could climb a mountain. I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt invincible. I don't know if it was the yohimbe. I don't know what it was. And then I knew I had to slow down when I was just starting to feel like just really warm. And then one day, I just started giggling. I don't giggle like that, but I just started giggling. And I was like, okay, this is too much. This is just way, like, I feel invincible. I'm like really warm and I'm giggling. This is some math that's not going to have an equation that I like. So let me just slow down on these herbs. So I think everybody will have a different reaction to whatever herb they take to increase circulation, sexual desire, whatever you're trying to do. Some people take these herbs not for sex. They just take it because they want to feel strong. They take it so they can balance out their hormones. I balanced out my hormones with some of these herbs. I regulated my cycle with a couple of these herbs. I guess it'd be like TMI, but in the past, my cycle would be gone 4 months, 3 months, 5 months. I wasn't pregnant. It was just gone. And so over the course of 2 years, as I started taking the herbs, it became closer and closer. It'd be like every 3 months, every 2.5 months, every month and a half. And now it's basically every month. It just had to balance everything inside of me. So a lot of these herbs, most people will focus on just the sexual part, but they do more than that. A lot of Shilajit is promoted as like testosterone, like male. It's not just for males. Women can take it too. It helps with hormonal balance. You had to be careful when buying Shilajit because It's in a resin and comes from the Himalayan mountains. However, you have to be careful where you buy it because there's a lot of scammers out here, and you might be paying like $90 for something like this small, like actually smaller than that. So make sure you get a reputable source. Chickweed. No, actually, no. We're going to do Damiana since I brought it up. Damiana is a small shrub-like plant native to Mexico. Although the plant itself is small, its popularity as a sex herb is huge and growing. The history behind Damiana begins in Mexico. The story goes that it was an old Mexican folk remedy used to treat various urinary and sexual problems. Even the Maya Indians of Yucatan believed in the healing properties of Damiana. They called it Mizibcoc, M-I-Z-I-B-COC, meaning plant for asthma. Generally speaking, it's long been thought to help large and quite diverse group of ailments. From its being a laxative to being an aphrodisiac, you would be hard-pressed to find a more useful herb available today. I've actually grown to get used to the taste of Damiana. I just didn't like the smell. I didn't really care for the taste. But since I've taken it so much, I've gotten used to it. It also helps with fertility. And maca does too, even if you're trying to get pregnant or anything. It has the reputation of being an aphrodisiac primarily for women, but can be helpful for men as well. A sexual rejuvenator, Damiana helps when there has been a loss of vitality in the sexual organs. It does this by providing needed oxygen to the genital area. And you know what's interesting? I'm just so shocked that I have not met that many people that use Damiana for libido. I've only met people that mix Damiana with like marijuana for smoking. They don't even know it's for libido. They just put it in their smoking blend. I don't know if they're trying to, like scam their clients by like stretching out their weed. I don't know. I don't know if it's undetectable because I've never smoked anything before. I've never smoked weed. So I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know if Damiana tastes the same as marijuana. I don't know. But I've met a lot of people that smoke it. And I've also seen it for love spells. But I guess more people are starting to catch on that it's good for libido. And of course, I have used it. And it helped regulate my cycle. Or one of the herbs. The leaves of the Damiana shrub are the most commonly used part of the plant. However, it is not unheard of for some herbal preparations to also contain the stem of the shrub. Even though there are no known side effects from taking Damiana, it is generally suggested that you use it for 2 months, discontinuing usage if no positive effects are noted. Many herbs take at least 4 to 6 weeks to be of benefit, so 2 months should be enough time to tell if it is helping you have better sex or not. There's no set dosage, so if in doubt, start with a lesser amount and increase if needed. It works. At least it worked for me. Like, I started seeing results. It must have been 2-3 weeks. But then again, I wasn't taking it by itself. I was taking it with other herbs. I think, like, if you're going to take 2 herbs that work well together, take maca and Damiana. Because when I was doing my chlorella, blue spirulina, maca and Damiana water, the Damiana just, like, intensified the maca. It was very interesting. And I know they're going to mention maca in here somewhere. It says, there is some information that indicates that Damiana may interfere with iron absorption. It would be a good idea if you take Damiana and also increase your iron intake. This can be easily accomplished by increasing the iron in your diet. However, taken an iron supplement is generally not recommended for men, since too much iron in men is associated with heart problems. Ask your healthcare provider to check your iron levels if you have any questions. It also helps fight fatigue and is an energy tonic, helps regain strength in limbs, increases fertility, relieves irritation of urinary mucous membranes, providing relief from urinary conditions, improves and aids digestion, and acts as a laxative by helping the muscular contractions of the intestines. Helps with coughs and flus. So it's a good herb. It really is. Strong scent though. Garlic. We don't even feel it. So I don't feel like reading this chapter. Let's go to male menopause. And I'm glad they mentioned male menopause, because some people think guys don't have their own version of menopause, but they do. Men don't have such an obvious change of life as women do, but men face 3 problems unique to them that can impair their sex life: male menopause, prostate problems, and impotence. Yes, that is true. It's true because I've heard it from the goat's mouth. Is that what it is? The goat's mouth? Is that what it's called? Goats? The horse's mouth? I'm just going to use a goat for this time because I think goats are cute. Impotence can happen at any time, though it's more likely in older men. Male menopause. We put the term in quotes because male menopause, also called andropause or viropause, isn't really the same thing as menopause. Your reproductive system doesn't shut down and you don't lose the ability to father children. Furthermore, only about half of all men experience male menopause, whereas all women go through female menopause. However, in all men, testosterone levels fall starting at around age 40. I think it actually starts earlier. I think. I really do. Because sometimes when never mind. I'm just going to keep my mouth closed. However, in all men, testosterone levels fall. Okay. If levels fall more dramatically, you may experience these symptoms of male menopause: decreased sexual drive, impotence, depression, mood swings and irritability, lethargy and insomnia, and loss of bone mass. These symptoms are similar to those of female menopause. Other lifestyle issues can also make male menopause worse, including smoking, excessive use of alcohol, lack of exercise, and a high-fat diet. This is true. I've talked to a lot of men. I've talked to a lot of women. I had recently met a nurse who worked at a dialysis center, and she was telling me about how many young men were on dialysis. Because I was talking to her about different herbs and libido and male libido, and how sometimes I would run into guys that would have like issues. They would tell like, oh, I'm having this issue. Well, you're like 25. Like, how are you having this issue? How are you like 30 something having this issue? How? So the nurse also brought like an enlightenment to me, because she was talking about a lot of the guys on dialysis were very young. I was also talking to somebody talking about like, I was meeting a lot of men whose voices just kept getting lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter over the course of the years. Their body, they had no muscle definition. Like, it was almost like a girl body, but you're a guy. I'm not saying like trying to be like, oh, all guys are supposed to be bulky, but it was almost like just a little feminine body over the course of time. I do, as a child, remember more muscular men. I do remember as a child hearing men with like deeper voices and different things. Maybe it's a testosterone thing. Maybe they're just decreasing in testosterone. A lot of guys, they mess themselves up. They're drinking. That's going to hurt you. They're on medication. They're smoking. And people are like, oh, you can't smoke. Oh, it's this. Well, you don't know. Is this even real? Is this a genetically modified thing? I don't know. I did have a friend who was studying traditional Chinese medicine, and we were talking about marijuana and testosterone and different things. And it's almost like a feminine herb. So now I'm wondering, like, which herbs are feminine, which herbs are masculine? If you take too much of this, will you start having these hormonal effects in your body? I don't know. But I just think that's kind of interesting. Most men can benefit from quitting smoking and all other tobacco use, reducing their use of alcohol, getting more exercise, and eating a low-fat diet. Herbs may also help, especially herbs that influence the body's ability to manufacture testosterone. I can see why depression would be, and irritability would be one of the factors of male menopause, because if you wanted to do something and you couldn't, or you couldn't perform, that would make me mad too. That would make me mad too. You're losing bone, you don't feel strong, you just feel depressed because you can't get satisfaction and you can't give satisfaction. And even if you had a partner and she's trying to make you, or she or he's trying to make you feel better, like, it's still like you feel embarrassed. So I can see how they end up in depression and irritability and mood swings, because I would probably go through the same thing. Many men commonly experience prostate problems as they pass age 40 or so, since the prostate at that time begins enlarging and tightens around the urinary tract. Prostate problems can affect your sex life in a variety of ways, ranging from the inconvenience of having to stop activity to urinate to the serious complication of impotence. I first heard about like prostate problems when I was like 23, 24 years, 25 years old. I was still learning about the human body, so I had never really heard of a prostate at the time. I know I was very slow, but an older woman was mentioning she didn't want a man her age because a lot of them had prostate problems. They would get their prostate like operated on and they just couldn't perform, and I didn't understand at the time. But now that I've been reading more about it, I think the best thing you can do is to protect your prostate is prevention. You can take fenugreek, that's one. Pumpkin seeds. There's also exercises you can do, like the sitting male deer exercise, which is from the book The Complete System of Self-Healing Internal Exercises by Dr. Stephen Chang. That one has an exercise you can do that'll help strengthen it. Mantak Chia has a lot of books on sexual health for both men and women. So look him up, Mantak Chia, M-A-N-T-A-K, and then Chia, C-H-I-A. Impotence, an occasional loss of erection, can happen at any post-pubescent male at any age. So, causes of impotence can include lack of blood flow to the penis, nerve problems, hormonal imbalances, use of drugs and alcohol, other health problems, and psychological problems. So, lack of blood flow, nerve problems, hormonal imbalances, medication side effects, drugs and alcohol, other health problems, psychological problems. Yeah. So, some of the herbs in here, for example, that help with male menopause, ashwagandha. I've only known of ashwagandha as like a stress reliever, and for concentration. But it says, ashwagandha is thought to be India's answer to ginseng, another herb often used to increase libido. It's often used to treat male impotence, but also has the reputation of helping to increase man's fertility. Speaking of fertility, if you take vitamin E, it'll help increase your sperm count. If you're trying to decrease your sperm, then start taking neem, which is like a natural spermicide. Neem, N-E-E-M. Neem oil. You can rub it topically. Don't swallow neem oil. You can take it internally. It also cleanses out your body. But if you're trying to conceive and you're taking neem, stop taking neem because your sperm is turning it into other stem cells. Chemical content. No. It's also anti-inflammatory, reduces stress. It's a sedative. It's a possible inhibitor of tumor growth and acts as antibacterial and an antifungal agent. I've really only known of ashwagandha as like helping with concentration and calming down the nervous system. But that makes sense if you're having some type of impotence problems and you're depressed and you're feeling like kind of like you can't perform. Maybe the ashwagandha relaxes you enough to perform. Celery, once again, like dang, okay, celery. I really don't want to read about celery. But it does lower blood pressure, it says. Ginkgo biloba. I've never associated that with libido. But, you know, ginkgo biloba does help. It helps with macular degeneration. It helps with the eyes. It helps with the brain. It was one of the few plants that we read about, ginkgo biloba, that survived the atomic blast. It's also used for like memory problems, dementia, all of these different things, tinnitus of the ears. So maybe if it helps with like reducing inflammation, it'll help with impotence. So let's see. Ginkgo is at times referred to as the smart herb because of its ability to enhance memory and even possibly slow down the progression of Alzheimer's disease. It produces this effect by increasing the blood flow throughout the body, enabling the user to feel stronger and more alert. By stimulating and improving blood circulation throughout the body, ginkgo provides more oxygen to the brain, heart, and other parts of the body, including those required for sex. This improved blood flow to the genitals may possibly help relieve conditions such as impotence. One study conducted for a 6-month period shows that 50% of the men regained erections when using ginkgo. In a 9-month study where the test subjects were men suffering from impotence due to atherosclerotic clogging. So like, I've heard of atherosclerosis. That's like plaque. Isn't that like plaque in the arteries? Is there like plaque in the genital? Clogging of the penile artery. Okay, that makes sense. Ginkgo gave 78% of the men improvement in their sexual functions. There were no reported side effects during this study. Don't use more than 240 milligrams of ginkgo per day. It can act as a blood thinner. That makes sense. Because if you're thinning, it's like, okay, it's clearing out. Okay, I get it. Maybe it's shrinking everything. Maybe it's shrinking the plaque. Okay, that makes sense. So if you're already taking blood thinning medication, including aspirin, avoid this herb. There have been reports of diarrhea, restlessness, and irritability when using ginkgo. Oh, that's why I was irritable that one day. Okay. I knew it was ginkgo because I stopped. I was like, I'm not ready yet for this. It helps to lower blood pressure. It helps to prevent blood clots from forming, possibly preventing heart attack or stroke. Improve mental ability, may slow down the advancement of Alzheimer's, alleviates depression, provides relief from tinnitus or ringing in the ears, relieve muscle aches and pain, and it's anti-aging. Pygium. Now, I've seen Pygium paired with saw palmetto, and I know Pygium, I don't know, it's Pygium or Pygium, Pygeum, but I've always seen it paired with saw palmetto, so maybe it helps with the prostate. Pygium is an evergreen tree with leathery leaves that grows in South Africa. It is related to other members of the Prunus tree family. It has potential benefits for men with prostate problems. It's used as a treatment for prostatic hypertrophy in many parts of Europe and Africa. Certain substances in Pygium may reduce the swelling and inflammation of the prostate gland. Pygium also has a diuretic effect on the body, which helps to alleviate another symptom of BPH or frequent urination. Some men report relief of symptoms within days. For others, relief may not come for several months. A study in Germany showed that Pygium reduced the swelling of the prostate gland. The study tested 250 men who suffered from BPH, with 66% of the participants reporting relief from their symptoms. Because of its diuretic effects, it is probably best to avoid this herb if you have kidney problems. A sarsaparilla. That one, okay, that's the last one I'm going to go over for the men. So sarsaparilla, they call that the sissy's drink. If you have a boy going through puberty, you probably don't want to give it to him because they say it will quicken his puberty. But, I mean, if that's something you want to do, I don't really know. Maybe let him do it when he's 18. But, you know, let a child grow how they naturally grow. But once he's 18, you know, like, and he's, or the government considers them legal, I still think they're freaking kids till they're 28 or 29. But if you have a son or something and he's like, why aren't I growing? Maybe with the doctor's consent, maybe see if he can take some sarsaparilla. But some people call it sarsaparilla. I just call it sarsaparilla because that's what it looks like to me, sarsaparilla. The most common American use of sarsaparilla was an ingredient in a soft drink similar to root beer. Medicinally, it was used by Native American women as a tea drunk after childbirth to help expel the placenta. It is thought that the Crees used sarsaparilla in the treatment of syphilis. Sarsaparilla contains testosterone-like substances that may be what causes it to increase sexual drive in men. Its testosterone-like substances may help relieve impotence when low testosterone levels are the primary cause of impotence. It also has copper, iron, manganese, sodium, sulfur, and zinc, essential oils, fatty acids, glycosides, vitamins A and D, the chemical pyrrolin. It's got a lot. It helps to increase energy, protects from radiation exposure. I wonder if you can mix some sarsaparilla powder with some chlorella if you're going through some type of chemotherapy. Regulates hormone levels, acts as a diuretic, lowers blood pressure, helps clear up skin conditions such as psoriasis, shingles, and eczema. Okay, that's useful. Acts as a laxative, relieves symptoms of inflammatory diseases such as arthritis. Well, I am impressed. Let's go on to the women. I meet more women going through menopause than I do girls going through like cycle things. I don't know. Maybe because maybe the older women outnumber the younger. I really don't know. But I can always tell if a woman's going through menopause. She'll be like, oh. She's like, girl, I'm hot. I'm like, girl, I'm hot. Oh, oh. It's like, oh, when will it be over? I was like, dang, I'm scared. I'm scared. My personal opinions on menopause, I'm still researching about it, but I don't know. I'm wondering if menopause, when I compare like the human body to a tree, even though we're not trees, but we do have like similarities with trees. But I think it's interesting that a tree, most trees, they can live for thousands and thousands of years. In the winter time, they'll lose all of their leaves, and then in the springtime, they'll gather fruit again. What if menopause is supposed to be like a winter, like a temporary winter, and then we're fertile again? Or is that not, possible because like we're growing older? I don't know. That's just one hypothesis I have. I believe we're supposed to have cycles, but I'm still researching on it. So, there are probably times in any woman's life when the idea of having sex is less than appealing. It may be due to feeling bloated and cranky before your period starts, or perhaps sex is just plain painful because of vaginal dryness brought on by menopause. There was a lady, Roxy Dillon. She wrote a book called Bio Young. And one of her clients had vaginal dryness or atrophy or something, and she used dill seed. But I don't know how she used it. I don't know if it's an essential oil and she made a cream. I don't know. But it helped with that vaginal dryness and tightness. In either case, there's a lot you can do to make sex more enjoyable. First, we'll describe the changes that happen during menopause and the symptoms of premenstrual syndrome that put you out of the mood for sex. Female menopause. Over time, the female reproductive system is truly complex, regulated by several hormones. Over time, these hormones decrease, causing the monthly cycle of egg release and menstruation to cease. Usually this process begins in earnest when you're in your mid to late 40s and is finished by about age 50 or so. But I've met like women that are in their 50s still having their cycle. I wonder, can you still have your cycle with men? I don't know. Or is it the transitioning, you're still having your cycle, you're going through menopause? Like, I wonder how that works. This slowdown process is really called perimenopause, while the resulting cessation of menstrual cycles is truly menopause, or the men all pause. It's like the men all pause. Like, stop. Get away from me. Get away. You're getting on my nerves. However, we'll loosely call the entire process menopause, since most of the herbs described in this chapter can be helpful for either perimenopause or menopause. The best herbal supplement I have seen that blends the best herbs for menopause and the best herbs for your period cramps is called Female Hormonal Balance by Solaray. Like, it has wild yam, it has black cohosh, it has Don Quai in it, it has fenugreek. Like, I'm like, this thing is the ish. It's the ish. So, if you're like trying to just look for a regular vitamin, I would get that one, because it has those herbs in it. At first, the changes may be slight. You may not even notice that menopause has begun. Your periods may be heavier or lighter than usual, and gradually the time between them increases. You may begin to notice hot flashes or flushing. Lubrication of the vagina may diminish, making sex uncomfortable. And then PMS. Throughout the 28-day menstrual cycle, hormone levels change in an attempt to prepare your body for potential pregnancy. I have to show you this supplement by, I don't know who it's by. I want to say Planetary Herbals, and it's called Ovary Uterus Cleanse. It's really good. But we're going to continue. Alfalfa. That's the first herb. Alfalfa was noted in 1597 by English herbalist John Gerard to be an herb capable of relieving an upset stomach. I've only known alfalfa as like the king of herbs. That's what they called it. Oh, in the Arab world, they called alfalfa the father of all herbs. It's no wonder when you think of all the wonderful nutrients contained in alfalfa. 8 essential amino acids, 4 times the amount of vitamin C as in a glass of citrus juice, and high levels of calcium. For women, this translates to relief from various female problems, namely menopause and menstrual symptoms. Hot flashes, mood swings, anxiety, night sweats, all of these may be relieved by alfalfa. Vaginal dryness and itchiness is also alleviated by the phytoestrogens found in alfalfa. And you can also use it if you're a nursing mother, I believe. I think it helps with milk production. Okay. Alfalfa's reputation as a diuretic may be why it is also associated with relieving PMS symptoms such as bloating. It has phytoestrogens, vitamins A, B complex, C, D, E, and K. Okay, you is a multivitamin. You are the father of all herbs, or the mother of all herbs in this case. You have calcium, magnesium, copper, iron, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, and zinc. I don't know why alfalfa isn't so popular. Like, I don't think people know about it. They'll be like, I need something with everything. And they might go to like CMOS or something. But I'm like, alfalfa's here the whole time. Like, take it. But they've never heard of it. They just think of the little rascals. Alfalfa. Amino acids. You can easily grow alfalfa sprouts from seeds. Cautions. Contaminants have been found in some dried alfalfa products, so use a reputable source that guarantees contents. Alfalfa can, especially the seeds, can cause systemic lupus erythematosus, SLE, to flare up in persons with this health condition. So be careful if you have lupus. Men who suffer in a large prostate and increased urination due to this condition may also find relief with alfalfa. It helps with constipation. It helps with acne. It purifies the blood. May prevent Alzheimer's disease. Has vitamin K. High in chlorophyll. Diuretic. Aids in weight loss. Lowers cholesterol. Natural source of fluoride for strong bones and teeth. It may increase the production of milk in nursing mothers. Like, girl. Next herb, that's the most popular. Let's see, we have black cohosh, but you already probably know about that one. Let's go to my favorite, dong quai. Dong quai. Dong quai is often called the women's herb or woman's herb because of its tremendous reputation for alleviating various female symptoms. Records as far back as 588 BC show dong quai recommended for the treatment of painful menstrual cycles. In both China and Japan, dong quai has long held a reputation as women's ginseng and is second in sales only to licorice root. Its Latin name, Angelica, comes from the legend that its healing powers were revealed in a dream. This is literally the 5th time I've heard of this Angelica dream. Like, I swear there's at least 3 or 5 different herbs that have the same thing. Like, an angel came down and they gave it to this person to stop the plague. And we like sharing stories as humans. An angel supposedly told the dreamer it was a cure for the plague. But did I not just say that? Dong Quai also used to be known as the root of the Holy Ghost. That's intense. That's more intense than father of all herbs. Like, this is the root of the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost. The rock. Dong Quai balances female hormones, alleviating the pain and frustration of menstrual cycles and menopause. Some women report an increase in breast size after using Dong Quai. I believe that because, yeah, at least I had, like, I think it was the Blessed Thistle and the Dong Quai, because I was like, huh. You're looking in the mirror, you're like, huh. Turn to the side, turn to the side. Am I seeing things? Then I'm looking at my hips, I'm like, is something happening? Like, what's going on? Dong Quai balances female hormones, alleviating the pain and frustration of menstrual cycles and menopause. Used after childbirth, Dong Quai is considered to be a good postpartum tonic. It can moisturize the vaginal area and provide relief from vaginal dryness and itchiness, making intercourse more pleasant. It has phytoestrogens. It says, but then some parts can be harmful. Like, it has saffron, a substance found in the essential oil, which in pure form can cause cancer. It also has something in there that helps dilate blood vessels and relax the muscles. Dong Quai can cause miscarriage. I know that because it contracts the uterus and all of that. It can also, derivatives of it may cause sun sensitivity and cancer. Even though Dong Quai is best known for its female healing properties, it also has many other benefits. It contains compounds that are similar to prescription medications used to treat high blood pressure. For this reason, Dong Quai may be helpful for those suffering from high blood pressure or even angina or other heart diseases. Besides acting like a sedative for men, it's sometimes used to prevent testicular diseases. It helps with insomnia, nourishes the brain, relieves arthritis pain, helps with infertility, may stimulate the appetite, enhances vitamin E activity in those who are deficient, which makes sense as why it would be good for fertility, because both parties can take it and help with fertility. I could go on, but I don't want this video to be too long, because it's already gone over an hour. But the back part talks about, like, health conditions that can cause you to have, like, sexual problems. They can include arthritis, bladder infection, depression, diabetes, muscle aches and spasms, and all sorts of things. But I do recommend this book, even though it was so frustrating to read the same thing over and over and over. It does have good information in here. However, because it was so redundant, I'm giving it 3 fudge buckets. Writing was great. Very informative. Layout was trash. I'm sorry. It was trash. Like, you didn't have to repeat yourself. I got it the first time. But I still recommend this book. I still think it is a very good book on herbs for sexual health, libido, and all of that. And also, just my final comments about just, like, preserving your sexual health, I say not only take herbs, deal with some emotional issues that you may have, because according to Louise Hay and other people, emotional issues can contribute to physical issues. It starts in the mind. Maybe you have to build up more intimacy outside of sex with the person that you're choosing to be your partner, the person or people that you're choosing to be your partner. Use protection. Make sure that you just stay physically healthy, that you're eating food, actual food that gives you energy and nourishment so that you'll have the ability to have enjoyable sex. Practice, what do you call it? I don't want to say like if you're sexually active, practice chastity for a little while, but sometimes you can overexert yourself. Sometimes you can have too much sex. Some people actually get issues from having too much sex because when you're having sex, especially if you're a guy, you're losing vital nutrients. So if you are a guy that's actively having sex, be sure to stay on top of your nutrients, especially your minerals, zinc, selenium, magnesium, all of that. You know, practice different sexual exercises from ancient medicine that can help preserve your health. Try the sitting female deer exercise, try the sitting male deer exercise and all of that. And yeah, and just make sure you're living a healthy lifestyle. But really also another important factor is creating, and I know I've said this again, but creating other modes of intimacy that can lead up to just like intercourse. Some people, they're just like, I just want to go straight to it. But it can have a deeper healing meaning. It can be a deeper experience if you actually develop intimacy in other ways. It'll be more enjoyable. You can build it up and all of that. So that's just my personal advice for anyone that's thinking about like going on a sexual health journey. Make sure, go to the doctor, check to see if you have anything. Just keep yourself healthy. And thank you all for watching this video. I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye. Happy reading.